Thank you, Minister. During your remarks, you talked about the need to want to operate, and Canadians expect a foundation of trust. Minister, you were invited to appear before the Ethics Committee, and a motion was passed in September to appear. You've had all fall and plenty of opportunities to go, but you keep avoiding it. In fact, I would suggest you're dodging it. Will you commit to appearing before the Ethics Committee before the Christmas break?
I am always happy to talk about AI, our sovereign strategy, and if we can find the time to do that in this incredible, this is why I'm delighted to be here today. I'm always delighted to share.
Well, Minister,
and
you were supposed to
it.
appear. The committee requested a 2-hour appearance from you today. Unfortunately, you're only here for an hour. So I would suggest the Ethics Committee is meeting right now. If you're going to finish here in an hour, I would suggest that they would make time for you to appear if you'd like to take that extra hour. In fact, that you were supposed to appear here and denied that opportunity of a motion that was passed by this committee, Madam Chair.
Point of
and
order.
the minister is not appearing for the full motion.
Stop the clock.
Chair,
MP Hogan.
Chair, if we're going to cite the motion, again, I will say there is nothing about these matters within the motion. It talks about recent advances in fundamental and applied research in the field, the needs and challenges of research centers, universities, and public institutes, the role of the federal government in promoting responsible AI research ecosystem, and mechanisms for ensuring diffusion, valorization, and protection of scientific discoveries. This is entirely out of order, the question from the
Rappel au règlement, Madame la Présidente.
On a point of order, Madam Chair. On a point of order.
The subject we have today. MP Mahal.
I just wanted to reply back, Madam Chair. The point of order is the scope of the questioning and Minister is fairly wide.
We are getting into debate. Like MP Blanche-Jonca, you had a point of order?
Rappel au règlement, Madame la Présidente. Je
On a
comprends
point
que...
of order, Madam Chair, I understand that Mr Hogan's first time before the committee. I've been a member since January 2021, so I'd like to wish him a warm welcome. But I'd like to remind him on last week, I moved a motion. No, hold on, Madam Chair. I wanted to let you know that we called us for the Minister to appear for 2 hours. He's only here for 1 hour, and he's saying the very opposite. So I'm just wanting to set the record straight here.
Baldinelli.
Again, going to the notion of the foundation of trust, it's very hard to establish that trust. For example, Minister, when this government committed $400 million to Algoma with no job guarantees, $220 million was paid out to Stellantis, and they've indicated that they're not proceeding. $250 million you've committed through this sovereign fund to Cohere, and there's no guardrails through that MOU to ensure that $250 million of Canadian taxpayer money is going to support Canadian businesses. Can you see why Canadians might have some concerns in regards to this notion of a foundation of trust?
Thanks for the question. Again, I'm delighted to talk about Cohere. We have invested in Cohere, one of the 4 large language models.
Which first step was to hire an American company. When Canadian companies exist, how are we supposed to create that Canadian ecosystem when Cohere hires an American company that has ties with numerous American companies? And, oh, by the way, one of them has ties to Brookfield.
Again, let me just say, any definition of sovereignty, they're headquartered in Canada, their IPs in
foundation
Canada,
of trust,
and they're trading
Minister,
in Canada.
Foundation
I would
of trust.
request the member to please allow the minister to answer.
Again, it's a great question. The member asked me about sovereignty. They're founded in Canada. They employ in Canada. Their IP resides in Canada.
CoreWeave
they're trading
is not.
around the world. This is a Canadian company that we're happy to
Senator,
champion.
it will become very difficult for the interpreters to interpret. I would request members to please allow the minister to respond to the question they are asking.
Again, in your capacity as Minister of AI, would you have had the opportunity to discuss with the Prime Minister some of his ethics screens with regards to some of his holdings? And would you find it interesting to find some of those names that I've mentioned this afternoon are actually held by the Prime Minister?
My discussions are always about building an ecosystem.
Minister,
to create
it's
jobs
about establishing
here in
that
Canada,
foundation
and
of trust, the perception of conflict. That is a huge concern. The Privy Council Chair, Mr. Sabia, who's from St. Catharines, great Niagara boy, he divested himself of Brookfield Holdings because of the perception. Minister, you should be aware, 10 years ago, you lost your job
Time is up
from
for-
CBC
sorry,
because of the perception of a conflict.
Thank you, MP
You should be
Martinelli.
well
Time
aware
is
of
up.
this issue.
Thank you. And we will
Minister,
now-
can you make an undertaking today that any legislation on AI can include specific protections for copyright and for the French language in Quebec? Yes or no? That's your choice.
The legislation that I'm preparing is privacy and data, and the Minister of Heritage is really the one who is going to be in charge of the copyright legislation. So I don't want to speak for that minister, but I certainly am working on legislation on privacy and data legislation. Which I'm happier to stay in my lane and speak about that.
Mauvaise réponse. C'était pas dans le choix de réponse. Monsieur le
Bad
ministre,
response. That wasn't one of the choices. Now, apparently, there are hundreds of experts that have stated that AI models are going to threaten humanity. Where do you draw a line between innovation and protecting the general public? And what kind of AI models, in your opinion, should be regulated only in Canada?
Second
Critical.
answer.
That's what our legislation will be about. But we have invested $50 million in the AI Safety Institute. Joshua Bengio in Montreal is actually one of the leading thinkers on that, and we're working very closely with him. It's a great
prendre
question.
une réponse écrite, Madame la Présidente. Je suis pas vraiment
A written
satisfait.
response, please, Madam Chair. I'm not satisfied with either the length of the explanation or the explanation itself. I'm barely reassured, for that matter.
Réponse écrite.
I'd like a written response, Madam Chair. You gave the Minister only 10 seconds to respond to my crucial question.
It would be possible if you can send in a written response. We will circulate it to the members. With that, this panel comes to an end, and I really want, on behalf of all the members of this committee, Minister, I really want to thank you for your time and providing us important information about this study on artificial intelligence. And the meeting is suspended. We will begin in few seconds for the next panel.